So Tom, in this film you're playing Loki.
Yes, indeed.
Big bad Loki.
Big bad Loki.
But
yeah.
is it safe to say, is he a bad guy or is he just misunderstood? How do you feel about
I
that?
think that you can look at it both ways. I mean, I think there is a deeply unhealthy anarchistic element in his psyche, which is definitely damnable in the court of law, I would say. But definitely misunderstood. I tried very hard in preparation to think about rooting the chaos and the mischief in a psychological, a very truthful psychological trope. And I think it comes from the fact that he's the younger brother. He's not the favored son. He won't be the president. He'll always be the vice president. He has less responsibility. He'll never inherit the throne. And I think it becomes a competition between two brothers for their father's love and acceptance. And because Thor is a chip off the old block in terms of he's much more like Odin, I think that Thor is easier to love for Odin than Loki. Loki is inclined to his powers of intellect. He's inclined to the dark arts and magic and sorcery. And I think Odin doesn't really understand any of that. And then through the course of the film, you come to understand the truth of Loki's parenthood, who his parents were, and then I think the villainy, if I could say that, comes from a betrayal, a rejection, a loneliness. He doesn't belong anywhere. He doesn't belong in this family. He was never a part of this family, and it's the pain of someone who's hurt and has no one who's really giving him any validation as an entity. So I think there's both those two things. There's someone who loves to start a fire and listen to the screams, and someone who's also trying to find acceptance in his own heart.
I'm curious if Loki in this movie, if they're pushing the magic aspect of him more than the physical, or vice versa.
I would say there's a little bit of both, actually. He certainly turns up in places where you don't expect him. So he does have the power of coming out of the shadows and surprising people. But there's also a physical aspect as well. I think everybody wanted to see Loki and Thor bash the 10 bells the crap out of each other, and I think they get that.
Is that really important to them, that there's a sword clash in the movie?
Yeah. And that definitively happens, and Chris and I had a huge 5-page fight at the end of the film, which was grueling to do, but really fun at the same time. What hit me with
I completely blank.
Okay.
Are you set to have a prominent role in the Avengers?
I
Would
don't
you be able
know
to
if I'm
divulge
allowed
that?
to tell you.
See the finale of this movie.
Yeah. Certainly, I can tell you that in the comics, he's the reason they all get together.
Yeah.
I see Loki as like this kind of cosmic puppet master. Like if there's bad shit going down in the universe, Loki's probably pulling the strings.
On that note, Loki often is I wouldn't say friends with the Frost Giant, but kind of like pushes them to attack Asgard for his own needs.
Without revealing too much, I would say that's a central premise in the film. Loki's relationship to the Frost Giants. Discuss.
Any other monsters you can hint at in the film?
The Frost Giants are pretty big. They feature pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Are there any other monsters? It depends if you think the Destroyer is a monster or not.
Okay.
But Loki kind of rewires the brain of the Destroyer to obey his every command, and that's pretty fun.
I think they want to pull you.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.